Jungle Scout was by far the most accurate.
Oh wow.
It was about 30% more accurate than the next closest person. What was more shocking is like some of these tools, accuracy was like really bad.
The first acquisition they made in about 10 years, and it was incredible.
Hey, what's up YouTube? My name is Tom and we have a very special guest in the house today. We have Greg Mercer in the house. Welcome to a episode of Beer and with Greg. All right. Up on the spot. Met Greg recently in Vancouver. He has an office in Vancouver, which I actually didn't even know about. And one of my good friends, Irvin, he actually works for Greg, which I did know about. But we are at Brand Builder Summit and Greg was nice enough to actually host us here in a massive house. It's a beautiful place. And yeah, I just want to sit down with Greg and kind of film this very quick video for you guys, because obviously you guys probably know, Jungle Scout, they're one of the pioneers when it comes to the software space. But one of the fascinating things that I like to ask, founders and CEOs like him is how they first got started. So I kind of want to tailor the conversation surrounding that because Greg definitely has a really cool story. So welcome to my YouTube channel, Greg.
Thank you very much for having me on, and I'm glad it's only my top half because I'm actually wearing my swimsuit with a towel wrapped around it, which isn't great for interviews.
He's not even wearing that actually. No, I'm just kidding, he is. But yeah, no, Greg was playing basketball in the pool and I just dragged him out. I was like, Greg, man, we gotta get you on.
We gotta make it happen before the weekend's over.
We gotta get you on, because in about an hour, I think we're gonna have a little bit too many of these. And yeah, so anyway, yeah.
So I went to college to be a civil engineer. I think I felt like the pressures of society and the cultural norms and my parents' encouragement to go to college, even though like my whole life I've wanted to be an entrepreneur. It's definitely got an entrepreneurial spirit. Went to college to be a civil engineer, got a job at like a corporate civil engineering firm, and just didn't like it at all. So that's when I started selling on Amazon, and literally I found out about it. I think just one day I was just like, how to make money online and whatever else, and I don't know. But I started selling on Amazon, I think that was in like 2012, and I was a full-time Amazon seller for a couple of years until I launched Jungle Scout.
Were you doing like private label during that time, or like what were you doing?
Yeah, good question. So I originally started with wholesale products. I was doing some like health and medical type wholesale, or like sourcing these products from wholesalers and selling them. But like really quickly, competing for the buy box just got too competitive.
Right.
And that's when I learned about importing from China and direct from the factories.
So like, what was it like back in 2012 to be selling on Amazon? Like it had some, like you've seen it all, right? Like it's been 6 years.
Yeah.
And then in the internet space, that's like 60 years.
Yeah.
So like, what was it like in 2012 selling on Amazon?
Yeah, good question. So first of all, like before like Jungle Scout and tools like that, you had no idea how well any products on Amazon were selling. And like in today's world, that seems like really crazy.
Yeah.
There's Jungle Scout, there's like 100 knockoffs of Jungle Scout, all these tools like help provide the sales estimates. But back then, like you had no idea. And there was like these rules of thumb, like, oh, BSR of like 5,000 sells like 50 a month, or I don't know, whatever it was, like across all categories. And that was like terrible. That was a terrible way to estimate it.
Yeah.
So you like had to go in really blindly. Also around then, there was pretty much like no training on like what we know of as the private label method today.
Right.
Like I think ASM was one of like the first ones. They launched their like first course around that time. And before that there was like nothing really online about like private labeling, kind of like as we know it, about finding factories and putting your brand on and everything else. So it's pretty interesting. And of course it was like a lot less competitive, but there was less sales back then too. Like I still have some of my products that I launched like back then, and they sell a lot better today than what they did back then, because there's a lot more buyers on Amazon now.
Right, that's interesting. So you started Jungle Scout out of necessity. You wanted to have data and make more educated decisions, and there was nothing like that at that time. So, but you came from a civil engineering background. So like civil engineering, as far as I know, is a little bit different than software development.
Certainly.
So like, how did you create Jungle Scout if you don't have software background?
Yeah, good question. So I hired a developer to do that. So I had kind of like 2 failed software projects prior to that. So, you know, this is like what most people like don't discuss when you hear about success stories and everything else, like all the failures and like all the hard work and everything else. So I tried to do like 2 projects before and they both failed. They were like kind of for myself, but I also kind of wanted to sell them if they worked out. And like each time I learned a little bit. The basis of it was like, if you're not a software engineer, the first thing you need to understand is you need like really good like specifications and drawings and just like a scope sheet, so like they really understand what they're supposed to build. I think oftentimes, like me on my first time, I just like try to like describe it all in the email. Like I wanted to do this and that and this, and people, they're like, you're crazy. Right. After failing a couple times, I hired a like more of like a high-end developer who, you know, got paid a lot more, but like they were much more senior. There was no language barriers. And then I also understood that like, okay, even though these are like pretty crude and ugly, at least I have like drawings, what it's supposed to look like and what things you're supposed to do and all that. That's
cool. So you hired, and no, that's interesting. I didn't know you had 2 failed projects before that.
Yeah.
So like you learn along the way, right?
Yeah, totally.
Cool. So you started Jungle Scout, and that was in like 2015. That's when you launched, or like when did you actually launch?
I think it was January, February 2015.
2015. Yeah. And then you were also telling me that you were like traveling around that time. So you launched Jungle Scout while you were abroad.
Yeah, that's pretty much right. In February 2015, I sold my house, my car. My wife sold her stuff, and we started traveling. And we did that for 3 years. So yeah, like the first 3 years of Jungle Scout, up until really January of this year, I was traveling while building it. Wow. So we just live in Airbnbs all the time. All we each had was 1 carry-on. We'd live in a place for like a month and then move and go somewhere else. So we went to like, I don't know, 25 or 30 countries in 3 years.
Wow. While building Jungle Scout. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So in terms of Jungle Scout, 2015, now how many employees do you have now?
I think it's about 90.
90. So from 2015 up until now, you hired 90 people.
Yeah.
The first year, did you have any employees? And then did you really scale after that? Or like what was that?
Yeah, good question.
Look like?
So I think I hired the 1 developer to start on it. We were able to launch the extension with just him. After that, like the hardest thing for me was like keeping up with all the customer support tickets. Of course, there was a lot of phases in between here. We're just talking about hiring. Yeah. So that's actually when I recruited my wife to work on it. First I told her, I was like, I think this would be like an hour or 2 a day if you can just like help out and answer a few emails.
You tricked her.
Yeah, I tricked her. Because like pretty soon it turned into a full-time job for her. But, and then I hired a marketing person. I think that was my like 4th or 5th person or something. Yeah, and then it kind of like grew from there.
Right.
But, so yeah, I guess the first hire was a developer, my wife's doing customer support too, and I guess marketing 3, 4th
Interesting. Person. But one of the things I've noticed about you is like you're like super relaxed. Yeah. Like super chilled out. But I feel like with Jungle Scout, like in order for you to run a business that has 90 people, which is a lot of people. Yeah. Like I would have thought you'd be like stressed out and like always grinding like on the phone. But you're just like walking around the house like, hey, what's up guys? So like, what does your day look like now? What's the life of Greg Mercer look like?
Yeah, it's much different now. I'd say not until the company grew to like 50 or 60 people did I really take on kind of like a CEO role instead of like the founder who like did everything. Because in the early days, that would have been it. Like I never went out, or I would never really do like anything except just like work on it. Because like I was doing everything. I was building the land pages, running Facebook ads, communicating with the developers, doing customer interviews, like a little bit of everything, right? So that was like really hard. And then like, you know, I'd probably be like answering some customer support tickets right now or whatever.
Right.
And then like I still played like a large role in marketing and a lot of the product stuff, and I think I probably like always will. But I guess once you start to like build out a corporation, then like, you know, like what's becoming starting to be a larger company. I mean, you hire people to do all those like executional tasks. So now I spend much more time of my time on like a little bit like higher level things, like thinking about how to structure the company, how to help our customers more. Like the reason I wanted to come to Brand Builder is really just like to talk to customers, you know? It's like my voice is hoarse right now because like for the past 2 days, like talking to customers, like what do you guys want? What are you looking for? Whatever else. I still like do that a lot. But yeah, and spend time on marketing, doing like interviews and things like that. This is like a lot of fun for me.
It's like definitely like the early days your hands were dirty, like you were just grinding away, but now you have a little bit more freedom.
And it's actually like kind of hard to make that transition from like you still like hopping in and doing stuff, you know what I mean? Because like I'm still really tempted to do that sometimes. I'm like, dang, like I could like knock out this landing page in like 30 minutes. I know, like I can build these things really quick. But you have to like resist those urges because otherwise you're like still stepping on other people's toes. You're supposed to be owning stuff. So it's a little bit harder.
So I get to talk to a lot of sellers, and like one of the questions that people ask me all the time is like Jungle Scout or someone else. Like you have some competitors in the marketplace now. What would you say like your competitive advantage is for Jungle Scout? Other than the fact that you guys were obviously like the early, you know.
Good question. So I think there's like some advantages like from a product standpoint, and then also like what you get along with the product. So like, just for one, like a lot of our customers, if you read like our Trustpilot reviews, a lot of our customers like really rave about our customer support.
Right.
So we do 24/7 customer support. So we've hired people like in North America, in Europe, in Australia, kind of like spread out all around the world. It's like we can always be answering tickets all the time.
Right.
And like, our customers love it because like we help with more than just like Jungle Scout support stuff too. They'll just email us and be like, I can't figure out how to print out like this FNSKU label, and like our like team like helps them with that.
Oh, cool.
So I think that's really cool. I think people also kind of appreciate like all of the kind of like content, like educational and free information, you know, that like all of our customers are getting. But strictly from a product standpoint, if we just focus on that, there's I think a few things that make Jungle Scout special. One, and again, this is like from our Trustpilot reviews, like this is what our customers say, is a lot of them like complain about the other tools and just like general like bugginess or just like difficult to use. Like they're like, it only works sometimes. Like I had like these 2 different ones. I just kept coming back to Jungle Scout because it's like reliable, it's always working.
Right.
I think a lot of people purchase these tools for the sales estimates that they give. Like we talked about at the beginning of the interview, how important those are. But last week we did a case study. Well, I guess it's been going on for the past 2 or 3 weeks, but we finished it last week. So we asked about, I think it was 50 to 100 sellers give us access to their Seller Central business reports. And it worked out to, I think, be around like 1,000 ASINs total.
Right.
So we can see like their real sales data. And what we did is we hired a third party to look through all of these like business reports and their actual sales for the past 30 days and then run Jungle Scout versus like all of like our top 10 competitors.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so like Jungle Scout versus Viral Launch versus Helium 10, AMZ Scout, I don't know, like there was a whole bunch of them. And Jungle Scout was by far the most accurate.
Oh, wow.
It was about 30% more accurate than the next closest person. And we kind of expected that. That's why like we want to do this case study to prove to everyone.
Right.
But what was more shocking is like some of these tools, I think most of them are free or like really cheap to be fair.
Right.
But their accuracy was like really bad. Like a lot of times like over 100% off.
Wow.
You know?
Do you feel like there's an underestimate or overestimate?
I don't think any of the tools, if I remember right, like weaned one way more often than the rest.
So it's like all over the place kind of thing.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But yeah, like 100% off, that's like, you might as well just like flip a coin to guess how much it's selling. If it's like telling you 200 and it's really 0 to 400 or whatever.
Yeah, that's crazy. Wow. Interesting. I never knew that.
Yeah.
Cool.
So yeah, that's really that's also part of it, what sets it apart, you know?
Yeah. Well, accuracy is super important because I want to know like,
at the end of the day, that's what you're paying for, right? And you're also, these are like this is the data that your business is being, you know, using to make these business decisions.
Right.
So like ordering too much inventory or not enough inventory can be a pretty expensive mistake.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. So do you have, is that a public case study or is that kind of private?
No. So like we did it and we recorded the whole thing so no one can like argue the results or anything. We finished it. Well, the data was finished being collected last week, and then we're going to turn into a report like next week and publish it on our blog.
Cool. Let me know.
So,
I'll link it down below. You guys, and again, guys, like, you know, I'm in a unique position where I get to talk to people like Greg and like, you know, other CEOs and founders. Like, my job is to bring you guys that information. I'm not gonna put a gun to your head and say you have to use Viral Launch or Jungle Scout. You know, you guys are mostly adults. It's your decision to make. It's my job to be kind of the news reporter almost. You know what I mean?
Cool.
You make that educated decision yourself, but based on everything Greg has told me, obviously I would like to use a more accurate tool when it comes to product research. And just to wrap it up, well, 2 more questions. Number 1, Jungle Scout has other software as well. Like there's Fetcher, Splitly. Like how many, like what are the different ones you have right now?
Yeah, so we have a whole different suite of tools now. So, you know, Jungle Scout, of course, helps find profitable opportunities on Amazon. JumpSend helps launch products through distributing coupons and also sends follow-up emails to customers asking for reviews. Both of you did a deal or not. Fetcher is profit analytics. Splitly is A/B testing for Amazon sellers. Forecastly is inventory management for Amazon sellers. And then our newest addition is a marketplace called the Jungle Market, where you can find pre-vetted Amazon experts to perform services for your business, like copywriting or like photography or whatever else, all kinds of different stuff, setting up legal entities.
That's cool. Wow. And do you have any more plans to roll like more, or is that it for now?
None right now. We like all of our roadmaps are always dictated by what our like the feedback our customers give us.
Right.
So, you know, like I've been like interviewing people for these 2 days, and also like we just get tons of feedback every day, like through emails, and sometimes do surveys and like all different types of things. And I think like right now we have a lot of things to focus on, like with those tools that they're asking for. So those are the types of improvements we'll be making.
Cool.
Yeah.
And I'd love to do a video on Splitly, because that's one thing that I feel like a lot of Amazon sellers are not utilizing is A/B testing. And they do have a profit peak as well. I mean, you need a software to tell you what the most optimal price point to charge is, because as a seller, you want to be charging as much as possible without actually decreasing your overall profitability.
Yeah.
So that's like, I'm gonna do a whole video on that, because I think that's like super, super important to have, especially for A/B testing for price points and everything else like that. You can do A/B testing for main images, bullet points, everything pretty much. So
any of the items on your listing?
Yeah, so I'm gonna do that, because that's easy money to be made. That's like, if you don't do that, I think that's like leaving money on the table. So yeah, I mean, thanks for sharing everything with us. Like,
absolutely, it's always fun sharing my story.
Yeah. So like, any last words you have just to like Greg Mercer, like not even Jungle Scout, but just like you as a human being, like an Amazon seller, established entrepreneur, to those people out there that are going through struggles right now, that are trying to make their dream happen pretty much.
Yeah, so the last words I have, and actually the event that we just went to has kind of impacted me to think this, is I really appreciated how transparent some people at the event were about sharing all of like the downsides of entrepreneurship. And it's not something that spoke about that much, because you want to interview these like amazing success stories, because these are like the really rare ones and stuff. The truth of the matter is, like, all these people that have had this success, and a whole bunch of people who maybe haven't been that successful, have had a lot of like really hard times too.
Yeah.
Like I talk about, like just in this interview, talked about like traveling, get to visit all these different countries and everything else. But I guess like the types of things that don't come up is like, for like a few month period, I was like working so hard, only sleeping like 2 hours a night, that I got like shingles all over my face.
Wow.
And like the doctor, I remember, was like, I've never seen shingles in anyone like less than like 60 years old. Like, what are you doing with your life? I'm like, well, I haven't been sleeping. I've been super stressed out, whatever else. So I like entrepreneurship's a little bit of a roller coaster. And if you're watching this and you feel like you're going through like one of those like hard times right now, I think it's important to just like understand that that's very common of entrepreneurship. It's like the dark side that people don't like to talk about, but like to continue to like push through it, because it is a roller coaster, and there's some like amazing ups that make it all worth it as well.
Yeah, for sure. That's awesome, man. Well, thanks for your time. We have a party to attend to. People are coming in the house.
Go back in the pool.
And he's trying to challenge people to all sorts of different games. And
there'll be a few jump cuts in this interview for people walking in the door behind us.
And I'm gonna include a code. I'm not an affiliate for Jungle Scout yet, but I'm gonna sign up. I'll put a code down below. And hey, if you wanna use that code, feel free. If you don't wanna use that code, I'm not here to sell you anything. Again, I'm here to provide you with the information. And if you find stuff that's valuable in this video, then go ahead and make that purchase to make sure that you can get more accurate data. And if you're, it's completely up to you what you wanna do. So, appreciate your time, sir.
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, of course.
Thanks for watching, guys.
We'll see you guys next time. I'm gonna post a lot more videos about Brand Builder Summit, because it's absolutely amazing. So, and we got Sammer over there. He's got more subscribers.